The text came in at 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday while I was finalizing a design presentation for a major client. 3 sentences ended 30 years of trying to be the perfect daughter. Don't call or come over anymore. We're done. The family has decided. I'm Dominica Adams. And at 29, I thought I understood what family meant. But sometimes, the people who share your blood are the ones who quietly drain the life from you, and you don't realize it until you're nearly empty. I'd been the responsible one for as long as I could remember, while my younger sister Morticia drifted through life as if everything were owed to her. I worked 2 jobs through college, helped mom pay the mortgage after dad left, and never missed a family dinner, not once in 10 years. Mom always said I was her rock. But rocks don't have feelings, do they? They just sit still, dependable, while everyone else builds their lives on top. The morning before that text, I made my usual transfer, $2,000 I could barely afford, to help with mom's bills. She'd called crying about the electricity being cut off. Funny how the lights always worked fine whenever I dropped by unannounced. But good daughters don't question their mother's tears. That Tuesday started like any other. I woke up in my small apartment, the one that swallowed half my income because the rest went to family support. I made coffee in my chipped college mug. Buying new things felt selfish when mom needed help. I scrolled through Morticia's Instagram stories, another vacation, this time Greece, funded by her so-called modeling career that never involved actual modeling. During lunch, my phone buzzed again. A message from mom. No request for money, no guilt trip, just those 3 sentences that erased me. The family has decided. What family? When did they decide this? Why wasn't I even invited to my own exile? I sat in the office bathroom, rereading the message until the words blurred. My hands trembled as I typed the only reply my brain could form. Got it. 2 words holding back a flood of hurt and confusion. Later, they'd become my strength, but in that moment, they felt like defeat. Back at my desk, I must have looked off. Sarah from accounting quietly brought me tea. My boss extended my deadline without question. Sometimes strangers show more compassion in minutes than family does in a lifetime. But I couldn't cry. Not yet. Rocks don't cry, they endure. That evening, I drove past Mom's house. I knew she'd said not to come, but I needed to understand. Her car was there, along with Aunt Linda's SUV, Morticia's BMW, and Uncle Ted's truck. The windows glowed warmly. I could see shadows moving inside, familiar patterns of a family dinner. A family dinner without me. Sitting in my car, I saw a notification. Morticia's new post. Love these family dinners. So blessed. Everyone was there, smiling, raising glasses, Mom's arm around Morticia, the same way she used to hold me when I still believed I mattered. The caption ended with, "Family is everything when you cut out the toxic energy." The comments were full of hearts in agreement. No one asked who the toxic energy was. The next morning brought a sharp kind of clarity. It was like staring at one of those magic eye puzzles until the hidden image suddenly snaps into focus. On Facebook, I found Aunt Linda's post from 3 weeks earlier. Another wonderful Addams family dinner. These monthly traditions mean everything. Monthly traditions? I scrolled through social media, piecing together the story of my own erasure. There they were, 6 months of dinners, birthdays, lake house reunions, all captioned whole family and complete. Meanwhile, I'd been at home wondering why Mom was too busy lately. It hit me then. I'd been funding these gatherings. Every emergency bill request aligned perfectly with those events. I'd been paying for my own exclusion, buying tickets to a show I wasn't allowed to attend. The electricity crisis last month? The same weekend as Morticia's surprise birthday party, with a caterer and photographer. I called in sick that Wednesday, something I'd never done before. But I was sick. Sick of being used, of being blind, of serving as the family ATM no one acknowledged unless they needed a withdrawal. I spent the day reviewing my bank statements, and the pattern made me want to laugh and scream at once. Every emotional plea, every crisis, lined up with a celebration I wasn't part of. $23,000. That's what I'd given over the past year. Not loans, but gifts, because family doesn't keep score. Except they did. Just differently. They wrote me out of the story while cashing my checks. The final blow came when I found Morticia's TikTok account. She'd been documenting her journey to financial freedom by cutting off toxic people and manifesting abundance. One video titled How I Convinced My Family to Stop Enabling My Codependent Sister made me laugh out loud. The comments praised her bravery. If only they knew. The codependent sister was the one keeping their lights on while she played influencer. That afternoon, I did something I'd never done before. I opened Mom's Facebook messages. She'd stayed logged in on my laptop months ago when I helped set up her online banking. And at that point, I needed answers. Desperate times, as they say, call for desperate measures. What I discovered changed everything. Messages between Mom and Morticia planning how to slowly remove me from the family. They called me too negative, saying I brought down their energy. The words that cut deepest read, Dominica won't understand. She's always been different. Not really one of us. As if sharing DNA was optional. As if 3 decades of loyalty could be erased by group decision. But the most revealing message mentioned Grandma Rose's will. Mom had written to Morticia, "Don't worry, sweetheart. We'll handle the will situation. Dominica doesn't need to know about the changes." Grandma Rose, my grandmother, the only one who ever truly saw me, had been living in a nursing home for the past year with dementia and Parkinson's. Those illnesses took her memory and strength, but not her warmth. She always smiled when I visited every Sunday, listening as I read the same book to her week after week. Mom and Morticia rarely came, maybe once a month, often just for photos to show what devoted family members they were. Then came a message that made my stomach turn. 3 months earlier, Mom had written, "The nursing home director is getting suspicious about the signatures. We need to be more careful." Morticia replied, "Don't worry. Marcus is handling it. He knows people who can backdate documents." Marcus, Morticia's boyfriend, had always seemed questionable. Now I knew why. He wasn't just shady, he was their accomplice. Grandma Rose passed away on a Thursday. Mom didn't call me. I found out from a cousin's Facebook post. When I confronted her, she acted surprised. "Oh, I thought I told you. The funeral is family only. You understand? Family only." Those words echoed as I hung up. But exclusion has a strange effect. It gives you time to think. And thinking can be dangerous to those who underestimate you. While they planned their family-only funeral, I went to see Grandma's lawyer, Mr. Peterson, who had managed her affairs for 4 decades. His reaction when I introduced myself told me everything. He'd been trying to reach me for weeks. I was listed as the primary beneficiary in Grandma's original will, the real one, signed 3 years ago when she was still mentally sharp. The house, investments, and jewelry collection Morticia had coveted since childhood, all left to me, along with a handwritten note. For my Dominica, who sees people for who they are, not what they can give her. But there was another will. One supposedly signed 6 months ago, when Grandma couldn't even remember her name. That version left everything to Mom and Morticia. The signatures looked right, but something was off. Mr. Peterson needed all family members present for the reading, which explained why they'd kept me in the dark. The funeral went on without me. I sat in my car, watching them perform grief for the cameras. Morticia even cried on cue. I wasn't focused on them, though. I was watching Mr. Peterson as he discreetly handed me a folder through my car window. Inside were Grandma's medical reports, all stating she was incapable of signing documents or making legal decisions. Yet somehow, she'd supposedly signed a complex new will in perfect handwriting. I spent the next week learning everything I could about forgery law. It turns out, faking a signature isn't as simple as it looks, especially when you have 30 years of real ones for comparison. I still had every birthday card Grandma ever sent me, even the last few with her shaky signature and hearts drawn by the nursing home staff. Then I got a call from Patricia, a nurse at Grandma's nursing home. She'd been trying to contact me for weeks, but only had Mom's number. Patricia said she had something I needed to see, something she couldn't discuss over the phone. We met at a coffee shop, where she showed me a video that confirmed everything. The footage, time-stamped 6 months ago, the same day the fake will was signed, showed Mom and Morticia in Grandma's room while she was completely unconscious. Marcus held Grandma's hand, moving it across paper as if guiding a pen. They were literally using her limp hand to forge her signature. Patricia had saved the video before it was deleted. She'd long been suspicious of their visits, which always involved documents and always took place during Grandma's medication hours when she was least aware. When Patricia tried to report it, the nursing home director dismissed her concerns. He was receiving a share of the inheritance for keeping quiet. The will reading was set for Monday. Mom texted me the wrong time, 3 p.m. instead of 10 a.m. But Mr. Peterson had already given me the truth. I arrived early, sitting in my car once again, watching them enter laughing. Mom wore Grandma's pearl necklace, supposedly kept in a deposit box. Morticia carried Grandma's Chanel bag, acting like she already owned it. Marcus followed, looking smug in a new suit. Beside them was a nervous man I didn't recognize. Their lawyer, apparently an estate reconstruction specialist, which is just another way of saying inheritance thief. People often wonder if karma is real, if justice ever finds those who deserve it. Sometimes, you just have to help it along. And if stories like this speak to you, consider subscribing for more accounts about families, secrets, and the truths that eventually surface. Your support helps me keep telling these stories, and, honestly, it helps me heal from my own. At exactly 10 a.m., I walked into that office with my own team. Patricia, the nurse, a forensic handwriting expert I'd hired using my emergency fund, and Detective Morrison from the Elder Fraud Division. I'd already gone to the police the day before, armed with Patricia's video. They were eager to begin. Mr. Peterson cleared his throat and started reading the newer will, the one leaving everything to Mom and Morticia. They sat smugly, Mom even reaching over to pat my hand with false sympathy. "Don't worry, sweetie," she whispered. "We'll make sure you get something. Maybe Grandma's cookbooks." Morticia actually giggled, and Marcus held her close, already envisioning his new fortune. But weeks of silence had taught me something important. Patience isn't just a virtue. It's a weapon when used correctly. When Mr. Peterson finished, I spoke for the first time in weeks. "I'd like to contest this will on the grounds of fraud and elder abuse." That's when Dr. Sarah Chen, the handwriting expert I'd hired, presented her findings. The signature on the new will didn't match any of Grandma's over the past 5 years. The pen pressure, the letter formation, everything was inconsistent with someone suffering from advanced Parkinson's and dementia. Then Patricia connected her phone to the conference room screen, and the truth played out for everyone to see. The footage showed Marcus manipulating Grandma's unconscious hand as Mom held the paper steady and Morticia watched the door. The room erupted. Their lawyer tried to leave, but Detective Morrison blocked him. Marcus went pale, stammering excuses. Mom lunged for Patricia's phone, but Mr. Peterson caught her arm. Morticia immediately turned on Marcus, claiming she'd been forced into it, that she was a victim too. But I wasn't finished. I pulled out my last piece of evidence. Mom's practice sheets. I'd gone back to the house one final time, using the spare key under the fake rock she'd shown me years ago. While pretending to retrieve old photos, I'd found pages in her desk drawer. Repeated attempts at Grandma's signature, improving with each try. Behind those sheets was a folder labeled Estate Planning, filled with multiple drafts of the fake will. Each version slightly altered. One left me a single dollar, another accused me of drug abuse. They finally settled on cutting me out entirely, assuming I'd never find out. Detective Morrison arrested Mom, Morticia, and Marcus right there in the conference room. The charges were serious: elder abuse, fraud, forgery, conspiracy, and identity theft. Later that day, the nursing home director was arrested too. The dominoes were falling fast. As they were led away in handcuffs, Mom's phone rang. The caller ID read Aunt Helen, her estranged sister from Portland. Mr. Peterson answered and explained the situation. Aunt Helen's bitter laugh echoed through the room. "She did the same thing to our mother 20 years ago," she said. "Forged her signature on a property transfer. I could never prove it, but I knew. I tried to warn Rose, but she always believed in people." The room fell silent. This wasn't Mom's first time. She'd done it before and gotten away with it. I wasn't just dealing with a greedy parent. I was dealing with a practiced con artist. 2 weeks later was the Addams family reunion, a major event held every 5 years. Over 100 relatives would attend, and Mom had already begun spinning her version of events. According to her supporters, I was a mentally unstable daughter trying to steal from my poor, grieving mother. She even started a GoFundMe for her legal defense, painting herself as a victim of injustice. But I had something she didn't: the truth, backed by proof. The reunion was set at Grandma's lake house, the one I now legally owned. Mom and Morticia were out on bail, and the restraining orders hadn't been finalized yet. They still thought they controlled the story, even sending family-wide emails warning everyone about my unstable behavior. I let them believe it. I stayed quiet online, letting them dominate the narrative for those 2 weeks. Mom posted about choosing love over greed. Morticia made TikToks about surviving toxic siblings, gaining sympathy followers. Marcus, however, skipped bail and fled to Mexico, leaving her furious and bitter. When the reunion day came, the weather was perfect, as if even nature wanted to witness what was coming. I arrived early at the lake house, my lake house, with a few cousins who knew the truth. We set up as usual, but added a professional sound system and a large projection screen, telling everyone it was for family memories. Mom and Morticia showed up fashionably late, acting like they still owned the place. Mom even told me to leave, claiming I wasn't welcome at a family event. She handed out printed copies of her GoFundMe page, gathering sympathy. Morticia live-streamed the moment, telling her followers they were about to see her confront her abuser. That's when Uncle Robert, Grandma's brother and the family patriarch since her passing, stood up. He had stayed silent until that day, but I had already shared everything with him. Every document, every message, every piece of proof. Uncle Robert was traditional, a man who valued family honor above everything. What my mother had done to Grandma's memory was, to him, beyond forgiveness. When he finally spoke, his voice carried across the lawn, announcing it was time for the family's traditional story hour to honor those we'd lost. He began with Grandma, her generosity, her wisdom, her love for all of us. Then he reached for a letter, Grandma's real final letter, written in one of her clear moments and kept securely by Mr. Peterson. But before he could read it, Mom made a last desperate attempt to deflect. She stood up, crying, and accused me of abusing Grandma, claiming she'd only tried to protect the family. The accusation was so extreme that everyone froze. Morticia immediately backed her up, inventing more details for her live stream audience. That was when I gave the signal. My cousin Brad started the projector, and the screen filled with photos and videos, me reading to Grandma, brushing her hair, celebrating her birthday, each one time-stamped and matched with the nursing home's visit log. Then came the surveillance footage Patricia had saved, hours of it showing me caring for Grandma while she was awake and alert, proof of the genuine love between us. Finally, the audio played, a recording from 2 weeks before Grandma passed. Her voice trembled but was unmistakably clear. "Dominica, my sweet girl, you're the only one who visits without wanting something. Your mother and sister think I don't notice, but I do. They only come for money or signatures. You come because you love me. That's why I'm leaving everything to you. Don't let them take it away. They've taken enough." The yard went silent. Mom's story fell apart in front of everyone. Within hours, her GoFundMe was shut down, and Morticia's livestream went viral for all the wrong reasons. She had broadcast her mother's false accusations and exposure as a liar to thousands. Comment sections flooded with outrage and ridicule. Then Aunt Helen arrived, my surprise guest, flown in from Portland. She walked straight up to Mom and said clearly for everyone to hear, "You destroyed our mother's spirit with your greed 20 years ago, and you tried to do the same to Rose. But this time, you lost." Mom and Morticia didn't get a chance to respond. The police showed up moments later. I had already informed them about the reunion, knowing they'd violate their bail by showing up at the lake house. Both were arrested again, this time for false reporting, defamation, and bail violation. As they were led away, no one defended them. No one cried. The truth had finally cleared the air. 6 months have passed since then, and my life is nothing like it used to be. I live in Grandma's house now, the one Mom thought she had already claimed. I keep finding notes Grandma left for me, hidden in books, behind frames, tucked in drawers. Each one reminds me that she loved me and saw me clearly even as her mind faded. One simply read, "Dominica, you were always enough." The legal cases wrapped up faster than anyone expected. Mom received 5 years in federal prison for elder fraud and forgery, federal because she mailed fake documents. Morticia got 3 years and was ordered to repay restitution. She tried to cooperate in exchange for leniency, but prosecutors didn't need her. Marcus was caught sneaking back into the US and got 7 years. This wasn't his first fraud case. The nursing home director lost his license and was charged, and the facility investigation uncovered similar cases involving other families. Patricia, the nurse who risked her job to help me, was promoted to director at a new facility and implemented reforms to prevent elder abuse. Morticia's influencer career collapsed entirely. A Netflix documentary on fake influencers used her as a prime example. She tried suing, but failed. Truth isn't defamation. Her 40,000 followers dropped to barely 100, most watching out of morbid curiosity. Family dynamics changed too. Now, when I'm invited to gatherings, it's genuine. Aunt Helen moved back from Portland, and we've become close. She told me stories about Mom's lifelong pattern of manipulation and deceit, how she always played the victim while hurting others. For the first time, I understood. It wasn't my fault. I wasn't a bad daughter. I just had a bad mother. My business has grown quickly since I stopped funding Mom's lifestyle. Without that constant drain, I could finally focus. I landed 3 major clients and hired 2 employees. Sarah from accounting, the one who brought me tea the day everything fell apart, is now my business partner. She told me later she recognized the look I had. She'd survived something similar. I also created a foundation in Grandma's name to fight elder financial abuse. Patricia serves on the board, and we've already helped dozens of families identify and report similar schemes. The problem is more widespread than I ever imagined. Last week, Mom sent me a letter from prison. 8 pages of manipulation and revisionist history, ending with, "Despite everything you've done to me, I forgive you. A mother's love never dies." I thought about the first text she sent. "Don't call or come over. We're done." I thought about every Sunday I spent with Grandma while Mom spent my money. For 30 years, I gave until I had nothing left. My reply was short, but carried 6 months of clarity. "You were right the first time. We're done. I'm not your daughter. I'm Grandma Rose's granddaughter." The family decided, and this time I was included. P.S. Your commissary won't be funded by me. Try manifesting abundance like Morticia taught you. She wrote back 17 times in a month, each letter more desperate. I returned them all unopened. I marked "no longer at this address." And in a way that was true. The version of me who would have felt guilty no longer existed. The best revenge isn't living well. It's living free. Free from guilt, from manipulation, from the lie that blood defines family. I still have that first text saved, not as pain, but as proof that the worst day of your life can be the start of your real one. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. The lesson isn't about revenge, though karma had its turn. It's about refusing to be erased, about understanding that family is built on love, respect, and consistency, not DNA. Sometimes being cut out of a toxic family is a blessing in disguise. Grandma Rose said it best in the letter Uncle Robert read, "Family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up, who stays, who loves you when there's nothing to gain. Dominica, you were my family when others were just relatives." Now, living in her house, running my business, surrounded by people who choose me, I finally understand what she meant. We're done. And I've never been more grateful that an ending could become a beginning.